man. You don't put. Welcome and good evening, and welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans, the talk think show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so-called African American didn't find his way to America locked in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, the Indigenous One. I know many of you waiting to see what white massa we got. While this is going on, let us take this time to really reflect and understand what we should be doing. Shouldn't we be organizing ourselves to blow both of those parties out of the water? I mean, what are we doing? What, we're begging these motherfuckers to give us something? You want what they got because you don't think you can produce it yourself? This is where we are. We in 2020 and the Negroes thinking it's like it's 18, at least in the 1800s. We refuse to change. Why? Why? We refuse to look out for ourselves. We rather look out for others because that's what we do. That's what we're doing. I mean, you just step back and look. You got Negroes. So when they talk about Trump, they say Trump's father came over with his father or something. That was way after the fact that you had established your home on this land. And now you're begging. I mean, and when I say beg, you get on your knees and grovel for these people to do something for you. Nobody do nothing for the black people. Because you don't do nothing for yourselves. You always got to have somebody. You the indigenous people of this land, and you always got to have some foreigner telling you what to do, and you happy. You proud that you can do that. These are the African Americans. Remember, the African American is not a real person. They used to be called black. Remember, they used to be called Negro. Remember, they used to be called colored. Remember how they are always switching, always trying to confuse who you are. And I'm just saying, and some of you understand it, that you are the people that America produced. You didn't come from that. You're not Muslim. You're not Greek. You're the people that America produced. Over in China, they produce Chinese people. Over in Switzerland, they produce those people. In America, they produce the people they produce are you. Your grandmothers, your grandfathers. And you have just been walked and talked out of that. You're in a position where I don't even see why they have Biden running. This dude can't even talk. He ain't gonna make it. He ain't gonna make it. And who do they have sitting, waiting in the wings? If it goes that way, I don't know. As of this time, it's a game. It's a game. Stock markets is doing this thing. It's a game. Right now, we're going to bring to the conversation political analysis, giving us his analysis on the ongoing events and what the American Indian Party is going to be expected to do. A New Thunder, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today, man?
Oh man, everything's cool. Everything's cool.
So I have to say, great grand rising to us all. And as we always say, we're still learning about all kinds of things, and we are in very interesting times, as we already know. And do you expect anything different from what's happening right now in terms of all this political stuff?
No.
And that's the biggest answer of all. Nobody should really be surprised. This is one of the reasons why the American Indian Unity or the American Indian Party is extremely important, because we really need to begin to start understanding that we must do what we have to do for ourselves. We must do what we have to do for ourselves. And already, even though it's now, a day, almost 2 days after the election, what have they done? They've already forgot about you. They've already forgot about you. So what they're talking about are the swing counties in most of these states are talking about the Hispanic vote. They're not even talking about you at all. And this is the reason why, regardless of what party you're voting for, or what party you think that you might be in, we have to develop our mindset to make sure that we place ourselves in the positions to where we can move forward, regardless of what's happening in this system. It's a system of injustice, a system of supremacy. As Neely Fuller puts it, it's a system of white supremacy. And if you don't understand what that really means, we can get into that a little bit tonight. But this is the reason why you need to be aware of the things that are happening that's actually affecting you in your being of people.
No, hey, dude, I'm right where you're at. We were talking earlier about political, teaching the political process in our communities. How is that? How is that going?
It's a different type of mindset because you have to understand that we are meshed in two different political realities. One reality is a system upon which is based on a white supremacy system or a system that is not designed to keep us around for long. But we're meshed in that. The other system is a system upon which we must develop, and we know deep down in your heart, deep down in your mind, deep down in your soul, you know that the situation that you're in this system is 100% uncomfortable. And the reality is that we need to understand how to really take care of ourselves within our own communities. And that in lies where the American Indian Party comes from. And has been talking about this for a very long time. African Americans been talking about this for a very long time. This is different from what you've seen with a lot of the turncoats in the 60s after the passage or the death of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and many others that actually turned themselves around to try to do a great thing with the Civil Rights Act, which is something we need to discuss. Different from the Black Power movement, where you're going to be picking up arms and going around trying to shoot anybody that you can because we're in the midst of a revolution. It's not that kind of party. This is really, really serious in terms of making sure that our particular mentality is geared on constructive engagement for our people. And we don't have really much time left in this system before it completely, totally collapses. And then we as a people are going to be collapsing right along with it. So teaching people how to operate within the system, they get confused because they think that this is mainly just a political party, no different from the Democrats, Republicans, no different from the Green Party, the Right to Life Party, and all that other type of stuff. Those are parties that have melted and cemented within this system, a system that doesn't care for you as an indigenous, aboriginal, aborigine American Indian. It's a system that is causing a lot of mental illness with our people. And this is the reason why, like the words of, what is her name? Dr. Frances Wesling, I think it is. Her book, The ISIS Paper. I think every single American Indian needs to read that book. We must get away from thinking that we can survive or we have to survive within the system. We must begin to start understanding that this system needs the American Indian to survive. They need our energy. They need our power. They need our mind. They need the energy coming from our soul. This system is not a survival system for us. It's a species killing system for us. This system that we're in right now is a species survival system for them. And without this system, without us attached to it, they will not be able to do the things that they're doing now. They will collapse almost immediately. But we have to make a conscious mind as we begin to start talking about what is right for our people and how we're moving forward and doing the things that we have to do in what I call co-creation communities or small tribe numbers and other nations and bands. which each and every single one of those have their different definitions as well. So learning a new political philosophy, learning a new social philosophy, learning how to begin to realign yourself to be in a self-sustaining system outside of this system that was created to entrap you goes far over the heads of a lot of people. And I say over a lot of people, but it doesn't go far over your soul or your heart, because when you look out there and watch your children being killed, slaughtered, murdered, kidnapped, raped, experimented on, when you look out there and you take a look at your wives and you're unable to protect them, or your wives or your husbands unable to console them because the system has got them wrapped in an economic situation as to where they can never get out. We find ourselves in a situation as to where we have to look at the reality and not the fantasy. Over the last course of the last 3 or 4 months, I've talked to a lot of people, and my own family members included. I think at this point in time, I'm probably kicked out of my own family unit because I've been trying to tell them this is not about our politics. This is their politics. Our politics are different because we need to begin to start understanding how to create an economic system and survive on our own. We need to begin to start understanding how to create an educational system and how to survive on our own. And I think a lot of it with this COVID stuff has began to start wakening people up to that type of reality, understanding that they can actually live outside of the system. So it's important for us to make sure that we understand what's really going on with this, because when I say with this election, it's an important learning tool to understand that as soon as they get what they want from you, you'll be discarded. And it's been that way. How long, Gary? How long has that been? It's been that way ever since they entered us into this particular type of situation, through right after what you call the ending of what the history books tell you is the ending of slavery, or the ending of concentration camps all around this country, and trying to merge you into a political system, knowing that all they need from you is your energy, your blood cells. So teaching people about the political reality in a different way, you have to make sure that you understand that you are in occupied territory on your own land. Occupied territory on your own land. And why that occupation is going on, they are telling you exactly what to do and how to do it. But it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. We have the power to immediately effect change for ourselves. And that change is moving forward and beyond the system. That means pretty much beginning to start creating in your small communities an American Indian political party that will be able to begin to start the representation process of identifying the needs of that community, and also identifying like-minded communities that are being developed to share resources with. Does that make sense, Kerry? Is that fair to say?
No, that's what I'm saying. That makes a lot of sense, and we have to start organizing ourselves. Because no matter who gets in, people look out for themselves, and which everybody should. I wouldn't tell a bear to look out for a shark's kids. I'll tell him to look out for his. I mean, I think every species would do that to keep the species going. You do whatever you can do to keep the species going. You do everything you can do to keep the species viable. You do everything you can do to keep the species moving forward. And what I'm seeing with the African American, the Black, the Negro, the colored people, all these labels that have been put on us, and we identify with those labels, we, we don't identify with nothing natural. It's all some made up make believe bullshit that that it doesn't produce anything. So I think with the American Indian Party, you will especially, I mean, because both parties, Democrat and Republican, all of them shines voting for them. Dude, have your own party, and put yourselves in the position. It's more of you than anybody. Organize, and you'll begin to see just how much power you really do have. I say, and this is me, create your own currency. Everybody would want it. This is what I'm saying. This is what we have. We cold, and everybody knows it. That's why everybody over here coming trying to get your stuff. Organize your stuff. These foreigners coming over here trying to get your land. They want these national parks. See, you got to let America's a real. You talk about natural resources. America. I'm talking about from Alaska, all through Canada, North America, Mexico, Central America, the Caribbean, down to South America, Colombia, down through Brazil, Argentina. That's America. What is our role on this planet? Are we going to keep being somebody else's hoe? Because that's what we being.
And that's what they need you to be, because they need to be able to break down the very foundation of being of what you are. They have to make sure that you're unable to think critically, which many people don't. And they have to get you thinking that you're tied in to the system. And without the system, you will die. When the opposite is actually true. You are not tied in to the system. And with this current system that we're in, you will die. So we are now in the process with a whole lot of other people. The American Indian must understand that at times, they have to recognize that even though there's a lot of people that may look like you, they not be of you. And that goes, I mean, that's harsh, but that's another reality that we have to face. And that goes also into the psychosis and of the mind of the American Indian, of the so-called Black American, of the so-called African American, just by the very fact that got you calling yourself something that they created and made up a name for you, and you go by that wholeheartedly, tells you about the state of mind that you're in. And it is a litmus test for them and a barometer, because the more people buy into that, as they have, the more that they know they have control over your population. I mean, when you take this current election, they were saying, and again, regardless if you're Republican or Democrat, the problem is that they think they can say anything to you. When I say they, the Democratic Party thinks that they can say anything to you, anything, and they still got your vote. there are parties out there that can create bills. When I say by bills, I mean like laws. And, 3 strikes and you're out. The crime bill of the 90s that a certain person who's running for president right now actually created, throwing people in jail for minor crimes for life. And there's still a lot of people out there that are doing that. You have no representation on this planet right now. You have no say-so on anything that goes on this system, in the system. You can have representation if you place yourself in a situation as to where you begin to start organizing yourselves and making sure that your local community is organized and doing what it needs to do to take care of things right there in your immediate area. You begin to start having power. Does this message agree with the foundational Black American label lineage? Foundational Black. Again, just by the fact that it's saying Black, I can't really go there. What I'm talking about is something completely, totally different. Because if you don't know exactly who you are, what you are, and how other things on this planet were created, and the artificial beings that are walking among us, people can throw all different types of words out there, such as foundational Black and all this other type of stuff, and just confuse you and then make you think as though you're walking around and everybody's exactly the same, which is not the truth. You are an original soul of this planet. You're an original soul of the universe. That's what you are. I mean, you can't get any more foundational than that. The being that you are a part of was created during what they call the chaos period, which is beyond any other period of creation. Anything that came after that most likely doesn't have a soul. You have a soul. 80 to maybe even more people on this planet that are outside of your race don't have souls. And so what they're trying to do, as they've always tried to do, is blend themselves into you so that they can become a part of you and be something that is much, much more powerful on this earth. But again, they are not original. You are original, right? You are original. And a lot of the names that we're calling ourselves now have no foundational truth to them because a lot of the names were lost in time. But although when you go back and you begin to start studying a lot of the ancient texts, you begin to start finding out exactly who and what you are. So a lot of people have to be careful about this foundational Americans because it's, again, a lot of people trying to blend into who and what you are. You need to know what you are. This is the reason why we're out here teaching people through groups like African Americans and African, doing your lineage, right? Because a lot of people are trying to assume an identity that they have no part of. Now, with other races upon this earth, again, they just started navigating the earth. And when they just started navigating the earth, when they began to break free of those who created them, they began to start finding out that they were very limited on this earth, and everything on this earth was pretty much carbon based. They were not. This is when the whole foundation of white supremacy began to start kicking in, because it was a survival mechanism in order for them to be able to save their own race. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that when they find that a black male mates with a white woman, it destroys the very genetics of the white race, because the white race is recessive. In other words, they have it's much weaker genetics than it is a carbon-based being. So a lot what you see going on in this hatred is because of what you are actually made of, what you have inside of you. They can never, ever equal what you are. So that's why they have to start breaking you down and start making you feel like you're a Mr. Watermelon, black-faced, whatever it is, in order for you to be able to not feel good about yourself. This is the reason why they get us running around calling ourselves nigga this, nigga that, and anything that they can to make sure that we feel deep down inside ourselves that we're not even worthy for life, because they know that you are the most powerful entities on the face of the earth. This is the reason why the American Indian Party, developing co-creation communities, understanding of bringing in your own resources, getting yourself to a point as to where you can manipulate the society or the system in your favor to bring more resources into you until you're able to be completely independent of it, is extremely important. We must be able to stand up and be exactly what we are meant to be. And that is nothing what they created in your mindset, in our mindset. We also have to understand that we are a people of in a very deep psychosis. We are a people that are very, very, very damaged emotionally. We're damaged psychologically. We're damaged soulfully. Those people who are damaged spiritually are cut off from their souls and are even in much worse a position because they have no attachment to the true being of who they are deep within. Remember, one of the definitions of being an American Indian is having God within, having that power within, the insight within. Everybody is looking from without. We were the only people on earth that actually had it within. So, so when you get down to this, anything else, again, you look at Canada. Canada, you have indigenous nations you have up there. You have First Nations. You have, they don't even like to call themselves Native Americans anymore. You have Métis. Métis is the newest Indian group on the face of the earth that has gotten recognition. All of these things are foundational, right? And they all want to combine themselves with the most powerful entities on earth, which is you. But they can't. Not unless you allow them to take your place. This is the reason why you must begin to start developing small pockets of American Indian parties, no matter where you are, in order for you to be able to have an understanding what's going on in your neighborhood and how to protect yourselves. We have to be able to bring in resources and then share resources amongst each other. But we also must have to be able to siphon off as much resources from the system as possible, because those resources, while they're available, we have to use what we can in order to empower ourselves to be able to stand sufficiently and on our own. If this isn't done, which it hasn't been for the past 50 years, this is where it will get us. The Democratic Party for 47 years, maybe even for the better half of the 19th century, 1900s, have been in power. And the so-called black race, African Americans, the actual Negroes, the actual American Indians, have gained nothing since the time that they were let loose off the concentration camps, prison camps, and free labor camps in this system. Since that time, you had a combination of Republicans and Democrats, all promising all kinds of stuff every 2 and 4 years and every 8 years, because every 8 years is when I believe the Senate comes up. They promise you all kinds of stuff. And what happens? Your representation doesn't represent you at all. It represents a small section of the society that is not you. It's not you. That's why now when you're walking around your neighborhoods, you'll find more people in your neighborhoods that doesn't even speak the kind of language you can understand or even look like you. There's more people moving in. This political race told you a lot what was going to happen. If a certain person gets in, they're going to be doing everything that they can to not only register, but make every illegal alien they can get their hands on a citizen of the United States. You know what that means? That means that citizen automatically has more power than you do in this system. Now, I get a lot of people going to say, "Oh, you're crazy. You're out of your mind. We're black people. We've been here longer. This, that, and the other thing." I'll just ask you this one question. Just ask you this one question. When did you ever take an oath of citizenship to this country? And what documents have you signed in order for you to become a citizen of this country? And I'll leave that question there for a little while. Kerry, can you respond on that just a little?
What was the question?
The question was, when they're bringing in all these, they're going to bring in anywhere from 10, 20, 30, all the way up to about 60 million illegal aliens and make them citizens in this country. That's what's going to happen. They've been trying to do this for quite some time. So that's what's going to happen. And as people look around, they're going to say, well, they have a right to be here. We have a right to open borders and this, that, the other thing. But once they become a citizen, what does that really mean? It means that they're going to have more power and more rights than the average, quote unquote, African American who is a citizen through the federal government, not through any state governments. And they're going to have that much more rights. It automatically puts them above anybody who came out of slavery, because out of so-called slavery, right? I call them prison camps, intern camps. Anybody that came out of that system, their forefathers, how many people have signed documentation or paperwork to become a citizen of the United States? How many of these people that were let loose took an oath?
I have no idea.
Well, the answer to that question is none. There's not one so-called African American, black person, Negro, or Indian that has taken any kind of oath after they began to let people loose out of the concentration camps, prison camps, and free labor camps. No one has, how can I say, signed any documentation to become a citizen. Everything was done through legislation, through their system of constitutional representation to represent you. And part of that was to give up your undeniable rights. I forget what exactly says, but you have to give up, your right, to a certain type of freedom. But the bottom line is that these people that are coming in are going to be organized, and they're going to organize themselves. There is not one community organization, government organization, the NAACP, Urban League, and anything like that. Not one is geared solely towards lifting up solely economically, politically, soulfully, mentally, the so-called black or African American in this country, or the actual American Indian.
Okay, Anu, we're going to have to cut it short because we got to run. But I just want to tell the people, listen, what he just said about these illegal immigrants coming over here, they will be here and they will be organized. And they are just a buffer class to drown you out. That's all these different, the gays, all these are to drown what you need out. And we have to see this. So we better go ahead and organize ourselves. American Indian Party, whatever. We can't get caught up in semantics and words and all that stuff. What does it mean? Somebody asked earlier, what does foundational Black Americans mean? It's just people who are too scared to call themselves who they are. They keep finding all these words that don't mean nothing. Stop playing. You are the people of North America. Damn, we've been showing you the information for the past 10 years. It's right in your face. There's no reason that you shouldn't know. Get busy. Stop supporting everybody. We still gonna have a program on that Kamala Harris being bought up to her position by these Negroes that go to these colleges. We better talk about that, because this is what I'm saying. This is what the Negro is used for. This is all he does. Make sure other people are in positions that he won't himself take. So we're going to go ahead and end tonight. Anu, I want to say thank you for joining us. American Indian Party, start organizing where you are. Oh, and one more thing, and this is the way we can organize, and this is just my 2 cents. It's fall season. All the nuts and a lot of the nuts are falling off the trees. Organize yourselves in your area to get them nuts. I mean, that's natural resources. Those could be used, in the upcoming months. You can make money off of them, whatever. All of the little the little things that they can't get because they can't grab everything, you grab them. In a lot of these neighborhoods where the neighborhoods are shot out, the trees are still producing. Get those natural resources for those trees for yourself. Organize yourself to get those. See, these are little things that we can do. So Anu, I want to thank you, and I want to thank the audience for joining us tonight. Okay, and I hope whoever you pick for president wins.
Great rising to you all. Love you all.